Welcome to Lipstick and Legacy, a podcast where your story matters and your journey has purpose. Together, we lift and inspire our communities one story at a time. Welcome, Angela.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm excited to hang out with you for a little while.
I am so excited to have you on. Can you give me a little brief introduction? Just say your name, where you're from, a fun fact about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Angela Cring. It's pronounced Cring, like Kris Kringle, though it's spelled with a C. I've gotten everything else, but it's Cring. And I currently live in Las Vegas. I've been here about 4 years, and I came by way of California, Nashville, and Miami, Florida. So I have two grown daughters. I just graduated my youngest from the University of Central Florida last week. So there's a lot of feels there. Having completed that, I feel like, woo, pat on the back, did it. I'm excited about that. And something maybe no one knows about me is I recently competed on the Quiz with Balls on Fox last year.
Oh my goodness. How did you get chosen for that?
How did I get picked? My brother-in-law is a filmmaker in New York, and he is always looking at the boards for the auditions, and it's kind of like, if you've seen it, it's like Family Feud meets Wipeout. So the two of those, with Jay Farrell from SNL is the host, and anyway, and so they have these families competing against each other, and it's a quiz show. So they put the family up, and they stand on this big podium that overlooks a pool of water with these giant balls behind you, and they ask you to stand on the answer you think is correct, and then they say, "Release the balls." And then the balls come down, and if you got the question correct, you don't fall in the water. If you did not, it hits you in the back, throws you in the water. So we got to experience that with the family. We filmed in Belgium, which was an incredible experience to film a Fox show in Belgium. But they flew us out there. They were incredibly kind and wonderful. We had a wonderful time, and then just extended our trip while we were in Europe, already there. We spent a
Why
week in
not?
Paris. I was just
What
like,
a fun fact. I wasn't
I
expecting
know.
such a fun fact. Oh my goodness. Usually it's like I like pizza or something. No, that was incredible.
Yeah, that was a once in
Did
a
you win?
lifetime thing.
Did you win or can you not say yet?
I can tell you, actually, I couldn't talk for about 6 months, but we did not win.
Okay.
We were the first show to ever tie. So it came down to a tiebreaker, which is nail biting. And in the end, my family didn't fall in the water. Well, but I did. So,
You
so if
did.
you want to see me fall in the water, there's a lot of memes of me going,
Oh my
that you
gosh.
can catch out there floating around.
It's bringing back like Nickelodeon when they slime people. I keep having that thought.
Totally Nickelodeon vibes. Completely, completely. Yes.
Angela, can you tell me a little bit about your upbringing and who the young Angela was, like as a child?
Oh, young Angela was an only child. So she was very bossy and driven, also highly creative because she was always surrounded by older people and she had to talk to adults and find her own way. So that was, I never put it on my children. I made sure I had two. But there was some blessings that came from being an only child. You take charge and you get things done, and you're kind of
Leadership
stubborn.
skills, leadership skills, right?
Yes, when you're a young girl, they call it bossy. When you're an adult, they call it leadership.
So I have
So,
older siblings, but my youngest sibling to me is 9 years older. And so I
oh,
was raised somewhat as an only child as well. And so I understand a lot of that. There's a lot of, you're kind of spoiled in a way because you have all the attention, but it's also a very lonely existence, I would say.
mhm.
So
Yes, you have to know how to entertain yourself.
yes, you do. And just you do become very creative. What are some hobbies and things? You said you're very creative. What are some things that you like to do that your interests lie in then and now?
Oh, well, when I was younger, I was a big into music. I was in a band. I was a sax player in the band and marched in the marching band and part of the pep band. And I played sports. I played volleyball and softball when I was younger. And when I was 18, I graduated high school. And the same day, I had this boy I was dating. My mom called the long-haired musician, and we would send letters back and forth. And my mom would get the letter and say, "You got another letter from that long-haired musician in Nashville." And I was in California. I was in Sacramento at the time, and I had met him because he was touring through town, and he was a drummer at the time, and we were both very the same age. We were very young. But the day I graduated high school, he flew into California. We put everything I owned into my car and drove to Nashville. So I ran away with him. Still married to him after 30 years, but he has no hair now.
What was your
I kept
mother's
him.
reaction? What was your mother's reaction?
Oh, well, I have more compassion now because I am a mother, and if I was put in that position, I think I would feel the same way. But she was just concerned. I think concerned.
Yeah.
But I was driven, and I was going to do what I was going to do, and it was to get the heck out of Sacramento. So I
Wow, and you're
just
still
happened.
together. You're still together with
Yeah, we're still together. Mm-hmm.
what an amazing
Yeah,
story. Did you
yeah. Just
pursue a musical career after that?
I did. I did. My husband and I opened up a recording studio and a recording business in Nashville, and he started producing records. And I did creative. I was a photographer for a season, and then I started doing a graphic design. So he would have a musician come in, and he would record them, and then I would do their photo shoot and set up their graphics, and so they would walk out with the CD all ready to go and sell. So that was our business for a while. When you're in Nashville, you're in the music industry. And I actually left college because I got an opportunity to tour with a symphony for about 18 months around the country. So I got to do that as well. And in the process of the music playing, I was also acting. It was like a performance art piece. It was very avant-garde. And I tell people I kind of ran away with the circus, but I ran away with the symphony. And so it's kind of led my whole path is that kind of
Elevated.
wanting to be around creatives and being that way myself. I don't play anymore, but I just played enough to like get me in the door, to be part of that. And then when we moved to Florida, that we had a recording studio down there, but my husband went into ministry. And that's why we moved to Florida. So we would produce other types of records with gospel and contemporary Christian and jazz and blues and those kinds of things. So it was a little different in South Florida.
So, is there somebody from your childhood or youth that you could say really shaped who you are or put into your mind a way that you wanted to be that influenced you?
My grandmother's name was Linda, and when my parents were divorced when I was 3, so my grandmother, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother because my mom became a single mom and she had to work a lot to make things work. And so my grandmother was one of the biggest influences in my life, Linda McGuffey, and she was always very kind. She was always one that gave back to those who were lesser than her, and she had a very strong faith. And she ended up having, I think, 40 grandchildren. She had lots of kids, so lots of grandchildren. And one of the things she would do is she would make sure that each one of them had a birthday card. And so she would have all of these cards lined up by date and month that she would handwrite and send out to make sure every single one of them received a card from her. And can you imagine 40 grandchildren? That's a birthday every other week,
Yeah.
or more than that, once a week. And then she was very devout in giving back to her church and giving back to those in need. And I think that's one of the things that kind of set with me, first being kind of a child of poverty and being on the receiving side of some of those programs, but also seeing her generosity and her devotion to giving back and not really feeling whole unless she did give back. And I share that, and I feel that very much so.
Yes, I have 10 children and 8 grandchildren, and we do have a birthday probably at least once a month. And I also participate in a card writing. It's called Cards of Kindness. And a lady I met last summer, Trisha Higgins, inspired me to do it. And it's incredible writing a handwritten note, how profound that's been in my life. how I've connected with other women and people because of it when you just see them. And so I'm sure as a grandchild, you really felt seen by your grandmother, even though she had so many grandchildren to write to. She took the time to see you. That's beautiful.
She did, and that the value, the impact of a handwritten note, even now,
Yes.
is it's vast. People keep them; they don't throw them away.
Yes. I
And
had
and
last week I wrote to a girl that I had worked with. She was a teenager and I hadn't seen her for months. And she came up to me at church and she put her hands on my shoulders and said, I look at the note you send me every day. It's sitting on my desk. And this is like a young
oh,
20 something. And I'm thinking, wow, I mean, it impacted me, but it certainly impacted you. And that's incredible.
yes, yes, it's a little secret sauce,
Right. But I do like to
handwritten.
shout out the secret. I tell everybody, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling depressed, sit down and write to somebody. I promise it will brighten your day and certainly brighten theirs as well.
Yeah, yeah. I did a challenge once where it was 30 days of writing a thank you note to someone every day. And it's kind of like a gratitude challenge. And it was profound. It was profound. And I got nothing but positive responses from anybody who received it.
Yes, it's like a 95% positive rate, or they just don't
Right.
at all. So I'll take that.
Yes. So if you
Well,
need a challenge out there, ladies, please take
write
that one on.
write a
Yeah.
card. So I met you at an event and I was sitting next to you and it was kind of hard to hear. And you were telling me about this organization that you're involved in, and it's called 100 Women Who Care. And I had the
Yes.
privilege and an honor of coming to your meeting. And I couldn't come to the last one, but I signed up and definitely involved with this. I absolutely love it. Couldn't wait to have you on to talk about this. Can you tell me what your organization is that you're involved with, what it does, and you are the president, what your role is?
Oh, thank you so much for highlighting this. So this is 100 Women Who Care. 100 Women Who Care is actually a national organization with there are chapters in all states. So if you're not in the Las Vegas area, you can search for one that's local. But basically, 100 Women Who Care is a group of women who come together once a quarter with a shared goal to make a meaningful impact right here in their community. So whatever community you're in, you make a meaningful impact. So each member commits to $100 per meeting, and together they turn that into a collective donation of around $10,000 for a nonprofit. And so at each gathering, we hear from 3 nonprofits that are in the area that support the area, and the women in the room vote. And then by the end of the night, one organization is fully funded. And so what makes it different is that it's simple. There's no red tape for grants, no long applications, no waiting for months to see where your money goes. You're kind of part of that decision and that impact that night because we hand the money over that night. Every donation goes directly to the nonprofit and we meet quarterly. So our next event here in Vegas is in November. August the 11th. And guests are always welcome. And it's a powerful way to connect, to give back, and to be part of something bigger than yourself. Really.
So
And I've,
things that I
mhm.
noticed, let's back up just a little bit.
Yes,
So there's
yes.
this organization called 100 Women Who Care. And
Hmm.
you go to a place that's provided either by the community or a small business, something. We met at a small business who sponsored the evening. And
Hmm.
one thing I really liked, so we checked in, we went into a room, and I even noticed the detail of the lighting. Uh, there was like a spotlight on the presenters that were presenting that night. I didn't really know what I was getting into. I just came and it sounded like a great idea. How do you find your nonprofits? How are they nominated, recommended to come and give a presentation?
Okay, good question. And props to you for going somewhere unknown, not really knowing what was happening, but showing up anyway. So like that is a wonderful trait to have. So thank you for coming and being part of that and for noticing those details. Our nonprofits are nominated by our members. So at the end of the meeting, we ask each member to write down a nonprofit that they are either familiar with or they know the work of, or that is that the details they need to be a 501c3 so that we can support them. And also, they need to work in the Las Vegas or the Southern Nevada community. So we do a paper ballot. Everybody puts in their nonprofit nominations, and then we choose 3 that night that are going to be presenting at the next quarterly meeting. So August is our next meeting. November is our meeting after that. And that's when we'll choose our nonprofits for the following meeting.
So one thing I really appreciated about the event is the time constraints of it. Oftentimes I go to these events, they're big charity things, you buy tickets and it's this big long drawn out thing. The presenters are only given, is it 5 minutes?
5 minutes each. Hmm.
That was genius. I am very efficient as a person, and I don't want to sit somewhere for 2 or 3 hours, especially on a school night, a work,
Mm.
all of that. So the presenters came. One thing I really enjoyed about the presentations, they were professional, but they weren't professionals in a sense. One of the people from one of the organizations, it was Shine a Light. And he was somebody who had actually used the program here in Las Vegas, and now he works for the program.
Mhm.
And his story was just beautiful. I was moved by all of the people that were speaking and presenting. The parole officer woman, she had an excellent story and just really like grassroots. And one thing about Las Vegas, if you don't live here, you wouldn't know this. There's this incredible community of people, and we are woven together. And a lot of people like you that have only been here a few years, but I'm fourth generation. My children are fifth generation Nevadans. So there are people like us too. I think it's really important for people to know that in a town like Las Vegas, there is this rich community and people like you and your organization that are building ties, that are weaving together this beautiful tapestry of people who care. Tell me a little bit about some of the impact that you feel you've had in your organization since starting this, and how long have you been doing it? You did mention it started like pre-COVID here in Las Vegas.
Right, right. They started in 2018. The board prior to us were the visionaries to start this organization in 2018. And we recently took it over as the board in 2026, excuse me. So they've been going since 2018, every quarter, giving to nonprofits. Their impact has been large, and they ushered it through COVID. So through COVID, they just went online, and as we were all figuring out how to do that, and they continued to raise money and give to nonprofits because they need it more than ever. And I find you're right. People want to give back. Like generally, people want to give back and affect their community, but they kind of get stymied because they just don't know where to start or who to give to. And that's kind of how our structure works the way it is. It's for business women or busy women who are in the community and big hearted, but they just, they want to get in and out. They don't have time for a gala. They don't want to dress up necessarily. They just want to go and make an impact. And so Shine a Light Foundation, you mentioned, was the first one this quarter to receive a grant from us. So we gave them $3,200. We are rebuilding to 100 women. Right now we're in the 30-ish range. So we're on a rebuild to get to 100 so that impact can be 10,000. And what they're doing with that money is, well, we give them the grant, and then they come back the next quarter and tell us exactly what they did with that money. So when they present for those 5 minutes, they're telling us what they would like to do with it. And then we get to hear what actually happened, the impact they're making. They actually supported someone from homeless to a home. Like they said, we were able to take a person through our processes of going through support systems to where if they had a drug and alcohol issue and they needed to have support on that, or counseling, or people helping them get resourced with their IDs, or, the things that are available that there is an obstacle to get there. It's just hard for them to do that, and addresses to where they can receive those things. And so we were part of that. We were part of doing that. And I really like what you said about kind of the way that they present. And the reason that we do that is because there kind of is a disparity in nonprofits on who has money and who doesn't, so if they come in with like a slideshow that's like professionally produced and it's saying all the things, and then the other nonprofit who's scrappy, who's just getting started, they don't have that kind of finance or funding, they can't really compete. So we kind of just asked them to stand and speak from their heart. No slides, nothing flashy or techy. We just want to hear you speak from the heart, and that makes it more impactful for the ladies in the room to make that decision. And of course, it's the decision's hard. Like the decision's never easy. You're like, I want to give money to all these nonprofits. So it is a way for also, like you said, to learn about them. You may not know the work that they're doing
So
because
I
they
see
don't have.
flyers. I get invited to a lot of different organization events and things, and I usually have no idea. It'll be the impact for youth something, and you're like, I don't even know what that means. I have no idea where my money is going. What do these people even do? And so within 15 minutes, I can really have a bird's eye view just right in front of them. This is who they are. This is what they do. This is how it started. Come and help us. And it also helped me to realize, oh, now I know what Shine the Light does. I would like to go donate some time there. So, Angela, one thing that I noticed that was a very powerful sentiment of this group is that the women gather. I know in our church, oftentimes they'll say, don't stay home and watch the meeting on TV. Come and gather. Why do you think there is power in women gathering?
I think there's an energy that women bring when they're in the room together that they feed off each other. We're nurturers and we like to support one another. And generally we walk in that era of support and that gives us that affirmation and that energy to create and continue to nurture and to move ideas with one another. And it really is it's a I don't know if it was a pheromone thing or just the energy that we're putting off when we're able to be in a room together, and especially when women decide to take on a collaboration instead of competition with one another.
Yes, working together to build something.
Hmm.
One thing I
Yes.
really enjoyed about it too is that even if somebody doesn't make a lot of money, $100 a quarter is, I mean, it's money obviously, and to somebody it might be a lot, but if somebody wants to donate something and maybe they work full time or have a family full time and they want to do something, I feel like this gave me power in the sense
Mm.
that I got to choose. Okay, here's three amazing people. They're telling me in 15 minutes and it's non-committal, $100 a donation. I felt like that's something I could do and a lot of people could do. Tell me a little bit more about the thought behind that.
Yes, and I do value that it is $100, and you can't choose for anyone what that means, but it's if you're looking at it by quarter, that's $25 a month. That's what a couple of lattes. We're looking at maybe a latte a week that you're giving up, and what's different is you can actually see the impact happen in real time, that's rare. Usually you're giving to an organization and you're hoping that your money is going to the actual boots on the ground that are making the difference, but you're not sure. And in this group, we're seeing it happen, and it's the fastest way to make a meaningful difference locally
Mhm.
because it's happening in your backyard. And most times, the executive director is the one talking, or one of the people on the board. So afterward, after their 5 minutes, we have 2 to 3 minutes where the room can ask questions. And it can be any question. And then you get to know the people who are running these organizations, and you see their heart and you see their mission, and you really buy in that way. Like I said, it's really hard to choose. You kind of want to help them all. So usually I do the same thing. It's like I give money to the one that wins because we're collectively deciding who that is. But the other two are still going to get my attention. I'm going to go visit them, or I always ask them, what else can we do besides money? Like we just did Path for Paws, and that is a no-kill shelter, and they ask for linens, blankets, pillowcases, those kinds of things to put in the cages for the dogs that they're bringing to be adopted. So there's always something more that you can do, and it's not always money. So we try to do all of those things.
Yes. Tell me a little bit more. What happens to the people who don't win? Do they go back into the drawing? Do they have to resubmit something? How does that work?
They do go back in the drawing, but they can only present once a year. So they can be renominated, but we ask that they not be renominated until the following years because there are so many nonprofits in Southern Nevada. We want to make sure and give all of them an opportunity as we can. So just once a year they can present, and if they win the grant, then we ask that they stay out for 2 years before they present again.
One option.
Yeah.
Couple more questions. So I noticed the women that were there. There were women from all walks of life. I noticed executives. I noticed people who look like they just got home from just or came from taking care of their children. What type of women join this? Who can join? Is there any kind of parameter for that?
Well, let me just tell you this. You can come as a guest at any time. You can bring a friend, you can come as a guest and experience it before you commit to be a member. However, you cannot vote or submit a charity unless you are a member. But I find that it's for busy women who want to give back but don't have time to do all the other things and want to make an impact. So, it starts at 5:30. We are out of there and done by 7:30. So if you have children, you could be home for dinner. You can come straight from work, which I'd set up specifically for that. 5:30, you come straight from work, you make an impact, you go home, and you still have the rest of your evening. And it was built that way from the beginning to appeal to that woman.
So how do you manage being on the board of something? I can see this would still take quite a bit of time and effort. I know you have a career yourself, you have a family. How do you balance serving others through this? How does that work for
Mhm.
you?
That's a really good question, and it's something that's part of my give back. Like I have a portion of my week that is my give back. And so that's how I allocate the time that I'm putting into this. And of course, I love to do events. That's what I do professionally. So that it's easy for me in that way. But I have a whole board that supports and each takes on a task. I could never not do it alone. I've tried that before and it is not fun and I do not recommend it. But we as women, we're all learning as a good leader is to delegate and to have support. And so I have the most amazing board that supports all of the functions of what we're doing by finding the venue to sourcing the giveaways. We do drawings, and they're really good too. I think we give away. Well, we're in Vegas, so we give away tickets to shows. At our event. So I think we have the showgirl experience is one that we're giving away coming up at our next one. And then, lovely makeup and experiences and flowers and, those types of things that we give away. But one of our board members sources all of that. And one of our board members works out the registration and all the admin pieces. And one of them is doing the social media. So it's not all me. I kind of find my lane and do my part. And then we meet 2 or 3 times a quarter to just connect and make sure that we're all in the same, hitting all the boxes that need to be hit.
So my passion is the power of one. Through small and simple acts of kindness, great things are possible. And I truly see that with this organization. It's one organization I can say probably out of all of the events and organizations I've ever been to, that's the most impactful in the shortest amount of time, that includes all the things. It includes the gathering, mentoring, sisterhood, networking, while you're giving, making an impact, seeing where your money is going, and then they come back and tell you where it went. There's really no better model for an organization. So thank you so much for providing this. I am so grateful for it, and I cannot wait for the August meeting. That is for sure. Definitely.
Yes, it's going to be at City Hall. This is going to be fun. The beautiful new City Hall. It's going to be gorgeous. If you've not seen it, you need to come see it. Yeah, because impact doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be collective. And when it's collective, it's huge. It's huge.
So I asked every guest that I have on here one question, and my final question: what do you want your legacy to be?
I want to be known for being generous. I want to I want to be known for being kind. And something in this season of my life that I keep coming back to is my daughters are watching. And that means that I am teaching them now what it's like to be, I'm about to turn 50, what it's like to be 50 years old and how to live your life fully and to fully continue to explore and expand and to learn and to grow at this age. And that's what always, I want that legacy to be there for them, to always support them to be better, to be expansive, to use their voice.
Love that. My mother she had me at 42 and she started her own business, a costume shop here in Las Vegas when she was 44. And that's where I was raised. She's 91 now. And the other
Wow.
day we were talking and she said, don't ever be 91 sitting in an old folks home wondering what would have happened if you did the thing. take the risk. This
Yes.
is my year of yes. I am saying yes to pretty much everything. So I said yes to 100 women who care, and how grateful I am for that.
Oh, well, I'm excited for your year of yes.
Thank you for coming on, Angela. I cannot wait to see how this grows, and I can't wait to be at your next meeting. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for spreading the word and for being a member.
Bye-bye.
Bye.